Oh, look, so thanks for joining in such lovely numbers. It's so nice to see this topic being engaged with by so many people. So thanks so much for taking the time to listen to what Callie's got to say. I'm Al Turner. I'm sort of emceeing the stage today and name dropping our wonderful sponsors, which I'd like to do briefly, just to say thanks so much to Lighthouse, who are just so helpful as an AV company. So please do check them out. For UTAC for caring about education, which I think is just a nice thing for people to do, and the massive welcome we've all got from Conference Leeds, which means so much to us as a show. So thanks to those guys as well. Just a bit of housekeeping for you guys. Callie's going to give a presentation, but the more you bring into this, the better. You don't have to ask questions. You could just make points. We're up for points rather than questions. That really means a lot to us. It's being filmed, so just be aware of that. But that shouldn't limit what you've got to say. And actually, hopefully, the more you say, the more goes on film, the more goes out there, and we spread this message beyond these walls as well. So please do engage as much as you like and are comfortable with as well. Other than that, we're in a big sort of loving Leeds moment. So if you could give a really warm round of applause, welcome to Callie, who's going to be our first speaker today. Thank you, Callie.
Thank you so much. Good morning. It's so weird you having the headsets on and I can't actually judge whether you're engaged or not. And I said to Alistair this morning, I was like, I'm a really responsive person. When I can hear people go like I really thrive off that. And it's so hard because you're so silent. So if you could for me this morning be as loud as possible, I would greatly appreciate that. So much. So what I want to do, thank you, cheers. What I would love to start with is just getting you to indulge me a little bit. I would love, if you could, just for a second, to close your eyes for me. And I want you to raise your hand if you have ever had a woman say something bad about you behind your back. Keep your hands up and open your eyes. One more time, I just want you to close your eyes for me again. And this time, I want you to raise your hand for me if you have ever said something bad about a woman behind her back. Open your eyes. I love it. Thank you for your honesty. Normally when I ask that question, we have a lot of liars in the room. So, some of you may notice, I'm not going to reenact the whole Mean Girls film, but for those of you like me that are fully fledged millennials, you will recognize that that is a scene from Mean Girls. One of the things you should probably know about me today is that I am 60% Regina George and Elle Woods and 40% unresolved trauma. And we are going to get into all of that today. I wanted you to raise your hands, not to call you out or to judge you, but to show how easy it is for women to get caught up in talking about other women. So for me, the thing that always stopped me for the longest time in doing the things that I wanted to do was somebody saying, "Who the fuck does she think she is?" That has stopped me doing all the things that I have wanted to do for my whole life. And it took me a really long time to realize that women are pre-programmed and preconditioned to say that, not just about ourselves, but about everybody else. So what we're going to talk about today is female friendships, female relationships, and how we can utilize them as a source of power, expansion, and success. So for those of you that don't know me, have never met me, or never experienced my work, I am a female-focused psychologist. I specialize in female identity and how it's created within patriarchal systems and societies. I'm also a female friendship expert and women's connection coach. You might say, I'm kind of a big deal. That's normally where people clap. Thank you. Thanks. That is also normally where the room decides instantly whether they like me or not. It's where half of the room go, "Oh, did she just say that? I love her energy. Can we say that? Can I say that? And it is usually where the other half of that room go, who does she think she is? And sometimes we even allow ourselves to expand out and go, isn't she a bit full of herself? And yes, absolutely, because who the hell am I supposed to be full of if it's not myself? My very good friend Kirsty always told me, it's not selfish, it's self-full. And if you're not full of yourself, who else are you supposed to be full of? And so I really embrace being absolutely my biggest deal self. But this only really started to happen for me when I started to develop female friendships. For the longest time, I did not have female friendships. I did not know how to hold female friendships. I didn't know how to create them. And I certainly didn't know how to have the level of respect, love, and pure abundance for women around me. If you Google my name, one of the very first things that you will see is an article that went viral about me about 2 years ago. I wrote a post, a blog, where I said, I used to be a bitch. I was the mean girl. And I wrote this post saying that I used to be a bitch because I was insecure as fuck. I could not look at another woman and feel proud of her or success for her. I would look at another woman and I would only see all of the things that I wasn't doing right, all of the things that I was doing wrong and that I was getting wrong, all of the things that society was telling me that I wasn't achieving. And I would see somebody else, another woman, doing a great thing, and I'd think, what a bitch. She doesn't deserve that. She hasn't worked as hard as me. She doesn't know what it's like to go through the things that I've gone through. And because of that, I couldn't hold relationships with other women. And because I couldn't hold relationships with other women, even when I achieved levels of success in my life, I couldn't hold it. I couldn't share it with anybody. I didn't really know what it meant. And so I would work really hard in this system that told me that, to be somebody in this life, I had to have a good relationship, I had to be a good mom, I also had to have a good job and a clean home and a nice car and all of these things. And they're the things that I worked for the longest time. And then I got there and I thought, this is a bit shit. This is a bit shit. All the stuff that's supposed to make me feel like a somebody actually didn't make me feel like a somebody. And not only that, I'd got nobody around me to check me. I'd got nobody around me to say, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Have you looked at doing it this way? Because I'd isolated every single woman I'd come across on the way up. I had plenty of fucking men friends, I tell you. I was one of those girls that just got on better with guys. Guys were less drama. They were easier to be around. I was one of those girls. And now I'm a bit smarter and a bit older and a bit wiser. I recognise that as internalized misogyny. Back then, I just thought I was a cool girl. Not like you girls, I was a cool girl. I got on better with guys. I didn't do drama, didn't slag people off. I just got to the top. And then when I got there, it was really fucking lonely. And so I decided, how can I understand all the things that I understand about women's identity and how we create the identities that we do, how we become the women that we become, and not actually understand how to make a friend, how to hold a friend. And so I went on a bit of a journey. And that journey absolutely took me to being able to hear women say, who does she think she is? And go, kind of a big deal, that's who I am. And this started for me, really trivially and stupidly. Hold on, we've gone off-piste. This started with karaoke. So I used to go out with friends on a night out, and I would absolutely want to get up and go on karaoke. I'd want to belt out a bit of Celine Dion, a bit of Cher, more recently a bit of Taylor Swift. For any Swifties in the house? We've got some Swifties? Yeah, there we go. Recognise a Swiftie because they don't hold back. Woo, Swifties. And I would sit there and I would watch all these other women get up and scream at the top of their lungs, which is the only way to do karaoke. I'm just going to say, if you can sing and you get up on karaoke, shame on you. Karaoke is for the shit people. Karaoke are for those that hold no talent but love to express themselves anyway. So I would sit there and I would watch these women get up on karaoke and I'd be like, oh, I want to do it. Like, I want to just belt out a bit of Think Twice. Like, no, 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 no. Like, that's what I wanted to do. And I would sit in my chair and I would think, I can't get up there because I know that some woman is going to say, who does she think she is? And it terrified me. So I didn't. And so when I started looking at these things here, when I started looking at the things that women hold themselves back from doing, like starting the business, posting the photo. How many of you got 50 million photos in your camera reel and have selected only one to post online, right? Saying the thing. Do you know how many times I've not said the thing? I've not said the thing, and then worse, somebody else has said the thing, and then I've been like, bitch, that was my thing. How many times have you not wore the outfit because your tummy isn't the way that it's supposed to be? Like, does my bum look big in this? Of course it does. I've got a fucking ass. What do you expect? Like, how many times do we not do the thing because we think that somebody's going to say, who does she think she is? So for one last time, I just want you to close your eyes for me. And I want you to think about all of the things that you have stopped yourself from doing. All of the times that you have limited yourself, all of the times that you have held yourself back, all of the times that you have not done the thing that you wanted to do because you thought somebody would say, who does she think she is? And while your eyes are closed, I just want you to picture who it is that's saying that. Who is saying, who does she think she is? And when you've got that image, I want you to open your eyes. And I would be willing to bet some very good money that that image that you just held was not of a man. Rarely do we think that men are going to think, who does she think she is? Partly because if you're anything like me, you don't give a fuck what men think about you. And that is the way that we should be in life. But partly because men are not judgmental in the way that women are. Men are not gossipy or bitchy in the way that women are. And this is something that I argue with my husband about relentlessly because he uses it, he weaponizes it, and it pisses me off. And he'll say to me, do you know why most of the CEOs are men, Callie? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, go on, tell me, Nigel, you tell me why most of the men are CEOs. And I'm really trying to remember in my life that you can actually go to jail for stuff. So I'm trying to be calm. And I'm like, go on, tell me. And he'll say, because while all the women are bitching and judging and, slagging each other off, the men are just getting on with it. And it irritates me so much. It irritates me for two reasons. One, because it's damn well true. It really is so true, and that irritates me. But the reason it irritates me the most is because of the reason that it's true. Now, when I originally wrote this talk that I'm doing for you today, I took out all of the times that I mentioned the word patriarchy, because my friend Nicola gets sick of me talking about it. And I thought, do you know what? I can't go down that route today. I'm going to have to take it out. And then I was talking last night, and I thought, you cannot escape the fact that the reason that women are bitchy and judgy and gossipy is because of patriarchy. And just for any men in the room that may feel offended, when I talk about patriarchy, it doesn't serve you any more than it serves us. It's just that some of you are a bit more privileged by it. So why are women bitchy? Why are we judgy? Why do we gossip? And it's because from a very small age, before we could even make sense of the world, we were taught to mistrust each other. I don't know which slide this is on, so bear with me. Here we go, I wasn't that far away. We are taught to mistrust each other. We are taught to compete, to compare, to cut each other down, and we're taught to be weary of the woman who thinks too much of herself. Now, my very good friend Nicola and I come from totally different ends of the spectrum. We get into a million conversations and I'll say, yeah, but Nicola, you've been taught to do that. And she'll be like, I haven't been taught to do shit. I just went to school, got raised, went out into the world. She's like, you can't blame patriarchy for everything. You can't blame conditioning for everything. And I'm like, we can, because it's so real. So when I talk about how we mistrust other women, I just remembered I didn't put a disclaimer. If anybody's triggered by anything I say today, please feel free to take care of yourselves. Come back to me later if you need help. But when we talk about mistrusting women, it's everything from the woman that comes to you and says, some guy just did this to me, and I don't know if it's right. And as women, we go, well, what did you do? He's just being friendly. He's just, flirting. Did you do this? Did you do that? Or I come to you and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to start a business and I've got this great idea. And you go, oh, I don't really think you should start a business. You should just get a job. You should just do the mainstream thing. Like, we're taught from such small ages to mistrust other women. We're taught to compete and to compare, and not in really simple, easy ways. If it was really simple and easy, like somebody took you aside when you were 8 years old and took you to this class called Cut Other Women Down, we'd remember it, right? We'd be like, oh, I remember the time somebody told me to mistrust other women, to cut other women down. Yeah, I get that. But that's not how it works. Instead, it's subtle things like when you're bought a doll for Christmas, and then the outfits for your dolls are prettier than the outfits for your friends' dolls. And then you start to be like, oh, actually, my doll's prettier than her doll. My pram's more expensive than her pram. And we start to fall into this, just having a look at what she's wearing. Just have a look at how she's done her eyebrows today. Just have a look if her roots have been done fresh. It creeps up on us so slowly. And then there's the woman that thinks too much of herself. How dare she? Right, and where this comes from is a much more sinister place. But if all women understood this, I think we'd be in a much better place. So, have we got any parents in the room? Yeah, okay. Those of you that are not parents, you will have a parent, so you will know this. This being weary of women that think too much of themselves comes from when you're raising little boys and little girls, what we tell them is two totally different things. So I have a 15-year-old girl and I have a 9-year-old boy. And before I knew any of this, I fell totally into the trap that all parents do. My little boy absolutely loves his penis. He's not going to love that I've said that on camera, but my little boy loves his penis. And I always say to him, get your hands out of your goddamn trousers. And my husband will say, oh, he's just a boy, that's what they do. But when my girl was little and she sat with her legs open, everyone would say, close your legs. If my girl was little and wanted to stick a hand down her trousers to see what's down there, everyone would say, get your hand out of your pants. And so what we teach little boys is that it's okay to be who they are. And what we teach little girls is that they're responsible for their own safety. They're responsible for keeping themselves small and safe and polite. And so when a woman comes up in front of you and says, do you know what, I'd really love it if Keanu Reeves ate on my vagina tonight, everybody's shocked, right? Oh my God, who does she think she is? Can she say that? Is that acceptable? No, it's not acceptable, because all you've been taught your whole life is how girls have to keep themselves safe. Girls are responsible for their own safety. Boys can climb trees and it's like it's fine. If he falls, unless you're a boy mom, if you're just a mom of a boy, it's fine. But if you're a boy mom and your boy falls down, you're like, shit, baby, are you okay? Is everything all right? If you're just a regular mom and your boy falls down, you're like, that's just boys. But the girl can't even climb the tree because she gets told, that's dangerous. Be careful, don't climb the tree. And so we're literally taught from the smallest of ages to mistrust other women, to compete, to compare, to cut down, and most of all, to be weary of the woman who thinks too much of herself. So, I love a bit of science, I love a bit of psychology, and I certainly love a bit of research, because sometimes, and I can't believe it happens, but sometimes people come up to me and say, I don't think you're right, Callie. Well, I'm like, sorry? Sorry, what? But sometimes it happens. They don't think I'm right. Sometimes some women mistrust me and think I'm chatting shit. So I like to back up what I'm saying with what the research says. So science, psychology, and research shows that women who have strong female friendships, who have female-dominated circles, will experience lower levels of stress, higher levels of confidence, and better decision-making skills. When you are out in the world and you have a strong female friendship, a strong group of women, they will tell you the shit that you need to hear to bring those levels of stress down. They'll tell you the delusional shit that gives you those levels of confidence. They will tell you the things that make you go, ooh, am I using some critical reasoning skill to make a decision here, or am I being emotionally led, heaven forbid? Women who have strong female friendships take more risks. They are the women who start the businesses. They are the women who pursue leadership roles, and they are the women who make more money. I think I've got it on a later slide, but there's research from a university in, it's not Harvard, it might be Stanford, that shows that women who have strong female friendships, strong female connections, are 34% more likely to make more money than women that don't. We negotiate for higher salaries. Do you know why we negotiate for higher salaries? Because our friend says, why are you taking that? Do you not know what you're worth? Go and ask for more. We have those relationships. We advance in our careers, our progression is exponential. If you ever are fortunate enough to spend time or are in a room full of female CEOs, they will tell you that one of the quickest ways that they got there was by having strong female connections. We advocate for ourselves more in all areas of life. Before I had female friendships, I was on one track. I was on that patriarchal track that life puts me on, where I've got to get out into the world and I've got to make some money. I've got to find a man and I've got to be a good wife. I've got to have some kids and I've got to be a good mom. And they were the only things that I cared about. And so other areas of my life, I was like, oh, don't really know about that. Don't really know what I think. Not really fussed about that. Since I've had female friends, I'm like, I hate everything. Everything has to prove itself to me first. I'm like, hold on, before you come into my space, I need to know X, Y, and Z. We just advocate for ourselves so much more. We also become better at regulating our emotions. Now, women by nature are far more complex beings than men are. So we have more emotions. It's why we're told we're more emotional. But it's because things mean more to us. Men are really transactional in their approach to life. Women are really bonded. We want to feel like we belong. We want to feel like we're connected to something. And strong female friendships help us regulate that. We heal from trauma much quicker when we have female friends. And we enjoy more fulfillment in romantic relationships. And so I would argue that having female friendships is one of the most important things that we could do. And research shows that 70% of your social, professional, and personal network is made up of other women. We encounter more women throughout our lifetime. We come into contact with women more frequently throughout our lifetime. So if 70% of our network is made up of women, and most of us are in a pre-programmed mentality of who does that bitch think she is, we're never going to get where we need to get. The number one factor that determines the overall well-being and life satisfaction is the quality of the relationships that you have. It's the longest running study on happiness out of Harvard University. It's been running for 85 years. And overwhelmingly, the research from that study shows that the number one factor that impacts your life is the quality of your relationships. And if 70% of your relationships are with women, I would argue that it's worth finding out how to really utilize these, right? Does anybody feel like they don't have 70% women in their network? Is anybody here thinking there's no way I have that many women in my life? No. Okay. Just to prove I'm not bullshitting. There we go. So, this for those of you that don't know, I'm great at speaking, shit at graphics. This is my tumbleweed. This is my tumbleweed because if you decide at any point in your life that you want to go and find a man, find a husband, There is 1,000,001 resources that you can access on how to attract your dream guy. There's a book, there's a course, there's a podcast, there's a YouTube channel, there's TikTok. You can go and find 1,000,000 different ways to attract that guy in finance. 6 foot, blue eyes, trust fund, right? There's 1,000,000 different ways you can go and find him. If you decide that you want to be a better mother, or even you want to have a baby, there's 1,000,000 books that you can read, programs you can watch, podcasts you can listen to. If you decide that you want to start a business, get a promotion, or go and be a fucking girl boss, which I love and hate the term of, by the way, there's 1,000,000 different resources you can go and find. But if you decide that you want to utilize that 70% of your network, tumbleweed. I can tell you on one hand the amount of books I've come across in the last 5 years that support female friendships. Most of the books that I come across on friendship are all aimed at children. And they're all aimed at children because as an adult, society trivializes female friendships. It's almost like it's something that we do as children and then we grow out of when our lives start to get serious. It's exactly why when I started posting all of my content on social media, Emma was like, well, I like Callie, but female friendship. When I changed the language to female relationships, it was much more acceptable. I wasn't saying anything different. I was saying the same things I've always said. But society trivializes female friendships. Why do you think that is? I need to stop using the word patriarchy, but I'm going to tell you that that's why it is. It is patriarchy. So how do we make these life-saving, life-fulfilling, money and success-making, intentional female friendships? Something called the Sisterhood shift. And I'm going to whiz through this super quick for you because some of you are into this, I can see, and some of you are like, shit, can I leave and not be noticed? So we're going to whiz through this. But the first thing that you need to know when you are looking at that 70% of your network and deciding whether or not you want to utilize female friendships in your life for expansion, empowerment, and success is that you have to move away from passive proximity-based friendships. Proximity-based friendships are those ones that you have at work because you're both at work. You spend 40 hours a week together, and you might feel like you're great friends now, but actually you probably wouldn't be if either one of you left those jobs.